Life Pro. Super excited to see you all today. We've got a great launch going on today. I've been waiting for quite a while for this launch to come about, years actually, because we are talking today about one of my favorite treatments that I do with my clients, and it's cupping. And so today you get to experience the newest line of Life Pro cups, which are being launched here in the middle of September. It's going to be September the 9th, I'm sorry, September the 15th. We are launching these two new products, but we're giving you a little insight, little sneak peek on what's coming. So today, I'm just going to show you a little bit about how these work. And then if you have questions about cupping, we're going to talk about the concept of cupping, what it's for, the right approaches to do with it. I've been an expert in cupping for several years. I use it in my practice here every single day on about every client that I work with. And today you have the opportunity to learn how you can work on yourself from the convenience of home. So we are streaming live today on Facebook and YouTube. So if you are chiming in from either of those, and again, if you have questions, please feel free to put any of your questions in the comment box, and I'm happy to answer whatever we can with what the time that we have today. But let's talk about what cupping does, okay? Cupping started back several years ago, all the way back to the Ice Age, back in the days of well, actually, Ice Age is kind of the first documented years of holistic treatments, including cupping. But we do know that it also goes all the way back to the years of Hippocrates during the Roman Empire. Hippocrates is known as the godfather of modern day medicine. And what makes that so cool nowadays is that instead of getting procedures done, doing different types of surgeries or taking certain kinds of medicines, other procedures, cupping is being accessed a little bit more. Going all the way back, you might have seen this in the Olympics with Michael Phelps. You might have seen it with celebrities in Hollywood. And so it's becoming more and more popular, but it's not anything new. It actually dates all the way back to, again, the Ice Age is like the first documented evidence of cupping. And then there are a lot of artifacts and evidence in Egypt, as well as in the Roman Empire, in Greece, showing that Hippocrates kind of started this whole area of expertise with modern day medicine that they still teach. And when Alexander the Great became ruler of the Roman Empire, then he progressed all the information to these learning environments. And the city of Alexandria, which is in Egypt, actually became a learning mecca location for all the people in the Middle East to learn more about different holistic methodologies, including vibration, including acupuncture, including cupping, and even going back to gua sha, which is now in the Western world referred to as scraping. Okay. So we're going to talk to you a little bit today about what cupping does, because it's nothing new. And the evidence is profound that it actually makes a huge difference. I see it in my practice every day. I'm going to show you some different concepts that you can do or look for, things to look for as far as contraindications, side effects that you can experience from cupping, from my personal experience as a professional. And then we'll get on into the product launch, because we've got two products that we're going to be releasing today, the Relieva Cup and the Relieva Cup Pro. Both are USB operated, and you use them on yourself or on family members, loved ones, friends, what have you. So what is the purpose of cupping? So cupping is known to, in many ways, it is not a bruise, doesn't leave bruising. We're not contusing. We're actually separating and suctioning layers and layers of tissue. And this is a picture of what our connective tissue looks like underneath of a scope, in which all of our muscle fibers are surrounded by connective tissue that we call fascia. Okay. Fascia is made up of elastin, collagen, and ground substance, which is primarily 70% water. And when our body goes through moments of stress, inflammatory levels go up, and we start to do too much of the same thing all the time, or we don't do enough movement, our body produces different types of collagen. Actually, we regenerate 28 different types of collagen in the human body. And it comes in the form of rebonding these striations. And so the challenging part with how our body regenerates collagen fibers connective tissue, and how it all comes together and forming. We want this to look more like jello dipped fishnet stockings, okay? When we become dehydrated, or when we put certain substance or chemicals in our body, or when our body doesn't get what it needs in order to heal, then this fluid starts to transition more into what I call sticky honey, and then eventually transitions into peanut butter, and then eventually turns into glue. When it turns into glue, other surrounding structures don't move the same way. So these muscles can't shorten and lengthen like they're supposed to. And if you don't have one of our whole body vibration systems yet, that's why that's so important, because it creates an earthquake effect to this. Once you break some of that stuff free, then you can get really good blood flow into that area by separating and opening up and decompressing that tissue. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Unhealthy tissue looks a little bit like this. This is what we would call an adhesion. So if you go to feeling certain parts of your body, especially where you have pain, and you should feel what feels like bubble wrap underneath the surface of the skin, or things don't feel very smooth, things are very thick in texture. Cellulite is very representative of this. So a lot of people look for cellulite, but cellulite is just simply connective tissue and fascia that is adhering to your adipose tissue and compressing it more closely to the skin, more superficial. So you actually see that. And so what's really cool is cupping actually does reduce cellulite by separating those layers, by getting blood flow and getting hydration into those areas and allowing those tissues to open up. When we go to look at the shoulder, this is just one picture of the shoulder. This is what we call the arm lines. And the arm lines are 4 different channels of connective tissue fascia, 4 different, I like to call them bridges, okay? They're coming in from all different angles, okay? And when they come in from all different angles, all these muscles that are working around the shoulder come in from all different angles, different striations as well. And so when we regenerate too much collagen, too much connective tissue, and that tissue turns to sticky honey or glue, then we can't move our shoulder so much, because it ultimately affects everything, all the way down into our opposite hip, all the way down into our same hip. So this is just what the connective tissue looks like if we were to peel back your skin and you were to be able to see underneath the fat. This is the membrane of tissue that we call fascia that keeps everything put together so that you don't collapse into a pile of bones, okay? And the way that our body transfers energy is the responsibility of this tissue. So its job is to transfer forces, transfer energy from one place in the body to another. And when we don't have the ability to transfer that, then it starts to become more glued. So cupping has the power to reduce how much of this is stuck that keeps us from being able to move like we move. I'm seeing some of you posting something like a cobweb. You're exactly right. And when the cobweb, as beautiful as it looks originally, becomes full of bugs and full of lumps, the cobweb is no longer beautiful. And so we have to pluck those little bugs and those little lumps out, those little adhesions out, those little tangles in the web. And then our body has the ability to restring and make this work for us. So what cupping gives us the ability to do is it allows us the opportunity to remold and reconfigure our system to make it work the way we need it to work. Okay, so that's just what the shoulder looks like on this picture. Okay, on this picture, anywhere that you see white are areas of very low blood flow and very, very high collagenous tendinous junctions of energy transfer. So what does that mean? That means that if you have an area of white, like for instance the low back, and if you're going to try and stretching out the low back because you have pain, it actually takes 3,000 pounds of force to stretch that white tissue up, because it's majority of fascia. And it's not meant to be stretched. It's actually meant to hold you together. It's meant to transfer energy from the bottom of the body to the top of the body and top of the body down, okay? So if you're trying to stretch your low back, it takes 3,000 pounds of force, because these bands of connective tissue fascia are very much so very strong for transferring energy and as strong as steel, okay? So if you have a spinal injury, most spinal injuries actually don't happen because of this out here. What normally happens is the back becomes incredibly tense down here because our back is tight muscles and our abdominal muscles are very weak and long and sloppy. And when we go to pick something up, we actually create a lot of excess pressure internally in our abdominal cavity where our diaphragm meets with our pelvic floor. And that internal pressure is what pushes the disc back into the spinal column. So, disc injuries don't happen because this is tight. Disc injuries happen because you're not breathing right through the power vacuum and because of poor posture and usually because of very sloppy abs and you use your low back instead of using your booty muscle, and the butt muscle is typically one of those strongest areas of the body that are underutilized. Okay, the other thing that happens up in here is if your shoulder doesn't have as much motion as it's supposed to. You see the neck is meant to be another stable area. It's very similar to the low back. So if the neck area is carrying a lot of tension and is pulling more on these shoulder muscles because you're not stabilizing or using your shoulders and your torso like you should, then we get more sticky honey glue forming here in the shoulder. And then the shoulder doesn't want to move like it's supposed to, which actually makes our neck have to work harder. And the neck is not meant to work harder, it's meant to work smarter. It's supposed to keep us put together. On the other hand, though, if we have tension down here, we automatically are changing tension up here. So, what I do with my clients, if we have a lot of tension down here, low back pain, a lot of times if I release and use the cups here along the red, and especially down here in the hips, then low back pain goes away without actually working on the low back. Okay. We'll get into that. It gets a little confusing, but tendonitis is simply inflammation of a tendon. Okay. The tendon is overused because the muscles are too weak. So, a lot of times, if you get tendonitis, it's because the tendon is the last part of the soft tissue to give out before it just says enough is enough and it breaks away. Okay. So, if you have swollen tendons, it's because remember, a tendon attaches a muscle to a bone, a ligament attaches a bone to a bone. Ligaments, when you sprain an ankle or when you sprain an elbow or wrist, if you have a ligament problem, then it means that your joints are put together with more like bubble gum. Okay. Why is that? Because when you take bubble gum, you chew it, you pull it out, then it doesn't go back to the way that it was. If you take a rubber band out of your hair and you stretch it apart and you let go, it goes right back to the length it was. Tendons are like rubber bands, ligaments are like bubble gum. Ligaments hold bones and bones together, and our tendons attach muscles to bones. So if the muscles are fatigued and if the muscles are not working to the capacity that they should because they're exhausted or they don't even know how to work, maybe you have to shut them off through compensation and they don't even know how to work, then the ligaments, then the tendons become much more inflamed because they're carrying and transitioning the force across the extremity instead of the muscles absorbing that, instead of the muscles absorbing that force. Okay. So it gets a little complex. But what I want to show you are some different patterns. If you've heard of fire cupping, that is what fire cupping looks like. Okay, this is me in the picture. I get this done every month. I see an Asian doctor in order to have this done, but they actually take alcohol and they take a wick and they light it on fire, and then it creates suction inside the glass. And these are all made of glass. And this one right here, they actually cut me to make me bleed to create a regenerative inflammatory cycle to get my body to kind of start rehealing from an injury process. If there's no injury, but we have chronic pain, where there is blood that is very stagnant and needs to be flushed out and pushed in with new blood, they'll actually cut you to create a bleeding cycle so that you can push that stagnation out and fill it in with fresh, healing, nutrient-rich blood. So only special people with a license can do that. Some states it's illegal. So just be careful in choosing certain practitioners. If you choose to do this, don't do this at home, obviously, because you have to be certified, and being a licensed professional is really important. But I want to show you some pictures of some of my work so that you understand some of the concepts of what this might look like. This would be a picture of, I have my own brand of cups, silicone made, okay? And these are, you can see on this individual, you can see the lumps through here on this line. That's where the connective tissue is really glued together, okay? And so this individual presented actually with knee pain right along the patella tendon, okay? So tendonitis, right? But we don't work on the knee, we work on the big muscle belly, because if we can take pressure and lengthen this tissue out because it's very blood rich, then we don't have to worry about taking pressure off of the tendon, which is very not so blood rich. It's a white fiber, okay? And it's very thick and dense. So it doesn't get the same amount of blood flow that our muscles do up here. So if we can lengthen and separate out the muscles, get blood flow in there, it actually takes the pressure and the tension off of the tendon as well as the fascia connective tissue, okay? So when you're seeing this dimpling, okay, that is the area in which is creating problems for your ability to feel and move. Okay. So if you feel stuck somewhere, it's because certain areas are glued. And so if we can release those areas that are glued, then your pain goes away. You feel more vibrant. You're getting more nutrient rich blood flow cycling in, eliminating the toxins. Life is good. Okay. So that would be an example of somebody that has a lot of tension in their thighs. Now, we're not going to show you how to do this because, again, this is a totally different concept, but this is called systemic blanket cupping. And this is a lot of cups. And the reason why I'm showing you this is somebody who has a lot of hair, okay? When you are doing cupping, if you are somebody who has a lot of hair, you need to make sure and use an emollient, okay, that is water-based, so that when you're using the LifePro Relieva cup, that you're able to actually get it to suction. You cannot create suction if there's hair as a barrier. So you have to create some kind of a barrier protectant. And Albolene, you can get it about any grocery store, pharmacy. It's about $10 for this little tub. A little goes a long way, but it's water-based. So you don't have to worry about if you put petroleum Vaseline or jelly on. It's an oil-based. It's really hard to clean that off, and it means it's going to be really hard to get off your cups. So make sure that you use an emollient if you have a lot of hair on your body. And otherwise, you can use just a regular massage cream, massage lotion, or I've got a jojoba oil sampling here. So I use jojoba oil on everybody that I work with. And if you decide that you want to use some kind of like biofreeze or some kind of analgesic topical, you can also use that with your cupping application. Okay. Now, marks. Yes, you're going to have marks. And guess what? It's not a bruise because we're separating. We're not compressing. In order to get a bruise, you actually have to create compression and destroy the underlying tissues. Okay. We don't want to cause harm. We don't want to destroy. When we open up and separate layers, we're going to get major flushing of blood, pushing junk out and getting good flow in. Okay. So you're going to get different types of marks, okay? Where you're going to see the darker marks. Everybody has different colorations that make them very unique. And it's very personal based on where you're carrying a lot of tension, where you're carrying a lot of stagnation. And yes, the lumps do go away. So if you're trying to do this for cellulite reduction, if you're trying to do this for deep bruising that's been, recovering and you're trying to move that scar tissue out, yes, the lumps do go away with consistency. Consistency will not happen necessarily one shot. But what I'm going to tell you is how to strategically use whole body vibration, using the massage gun, and then using the cups in order to bring it full circle, okay? We're not going to cover that today because that is an episode all in itself. But I like to use the whole body vibration platforms like the RumbleX or the Waver or whatever machine you might have to create an internal earthquake effect, to break apart all those little microstrands. And then guess what? You can use the cup to separate and heal. Okay. So now we're starting to throw at you a deeper system. But on these two baseball players, these are semi-professional baseball players, you're going to see different areas of their body where the marks are darker. Okay. And where those marks are darker is where their body was holding a deeper level of toxicity and stagnant energy. So we're having to push that out. And you're going to see other areas that are much lighter, that they don't have as much toxicity because they're getting a good blood flow exchange there. Okay. Everybody's different. So some people don't churn much different color at all. And some people churn much different colors, like dark, dark, dark. Okay. This is a black male athlete, high school football, or I'm sorry, collegiate football player. And I have learned with working on multiple individuals, multiple different shades of skin, not all dark-skinned individuals change color. I have worked on a couple of individuals once a month for years, and no matter how hard I scrape them, no matter how hard I cup them, they never change color. Okay, and that's okay. Like, we don't want to force it. You don't get brag marks by having darker colored marks. Okay. Um, but you're going to see some areas of his body that are darker than others. These marks right here will last for about 2 weeks. Okay. So if he were to come back in 2 weeks later, you're going to see the same marks 2 weeks later. Okay. But much, much lighter. They'll fade to almost non existent. Okay. This is a professional bobsled athlete who's also a semi professional football player. You do not have to use multiple cups, but it is helpful if you do. Okay. And I will get more specific here into that here in just a second. But on this guy, if you can see up here where he has a really, really dark mark, I actually asked him, I said, have you ever had an injury there? He said, actually, yes. That's where I ended up with a contusion and a cut from having a bobsled wreck. And I thought, and I didn't have that in his history. So I can actually look at the body and tell where they've had trauma, where they've had injury, where they have had a history of pain. And that pain and that history settles within that connective tissue for generations, decades. So this is not necessarily a new injury. Okay. It's not necessarily something that happens within a week or two and then we do the cupping. It could have been there for years. Okay. So we're going to get into, now that we've gone through all that, okay, now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and all the fun stuff. So I'm going to show you, I've got my shorts on today. Each one of these cups, you only get one to a pack, okay? You only get one. They only come one to a kit. We have the Aliva Cup Pro, okay, which I'm going to go over the details. And then we have the regular, the Aliva Cup Basic, okay? Now, the reason why I have all of these other little out here is because I want you to understand that cups come in many different types, okay? These are electric cups. They're like, not electric, but they're digital, okay? They're power operated. This is a silicone cup. This is really, really good for cellulite cupping, for glide cupping, okay? These are my favorite. I only use these for glide cupping. And you can get these in multiple different sizes. This right here is specifically used for the face. You're not going to use these for your face or near your neck, okay? So we have this one for the face. And if you see, this one is glass. Glass is also used for the face, but I actually use this on acute injury where we've got hematomas or we've got blood pooling, ankle sprains, thigh contusions, and I'll actually use this in order to lift the stagnant dead blood out of there that's not really giving any kind of great purpose, in order to mobilize and accelerate the recovery of the injury. So these are just a couple of different cups that I've used that make it different. So there's several different kinds of cups, but these are very unique. This is the first that this type of cup has really existed. LifePro is not the company to invent this technology by any means, but they are the first to have a lot of really neat options, including vibration and red light therapy in their technology. Now, this one right here, I'm going to come around close and show you this. This is the Relieva cup, okay? So this is the Relieva cup, and it comes with these replacement filters, so you can use this for hygienal issues. It is charged by USB, okay, with a C port, okay? So you're going to plug that into whatever you use to charge your phone, your device, and then the other end is going to go right here on top in that little spot right there, okay? And ours are charged. I'll get into all the specifics of that. I just want to show you these up close in person, and then I'm going to show you the rest while I'm actually talking to you. These come off so that you can have a couple of different sizes of application for the actual power head, okay? So that's the cool part with these. These are not silicone, but if you do look closely, they do have a little bit of a grip on the lip, okay? So that they can contour a little bit better. But this is your motor head, and you can choose which cup goes on for which size, okay? This one here, let me double check. Get this, okay? I have the original style of this type of cup that came out a few years ago was $250. We checked this online today earlier. It's still $170. Okay. My friends, these are only $49.99. Okay. $49.99 per cup. Okay. So per motor unit. I know, right? And if you use the code Amber10, it's going to knock off an extra discount. When we go to launch this product, the day that this goes on sale, which is September the 15th, okay, the day that these go on will be 20% off for the first 100 customers, okay? So the first 100 customers, these will be 20% off the regular marked price, $49.99 for this one, and for the professional version, which I'm getting ready to show you here shortly, it is double the price, $89.99, okay? Not much difference except for a lot of extra features as far as the intensity of some of the features, but we'll get into that. So you have the ability to change out the size. So if you're getting ready to use this on your booty or on your low back, you're going to want to use the bigger one to create a greater amount of suction for a bigger space. And if you have a more like using it on your arm or shoulder, you're going to use the smaller diameter attachment. Okay. So those just popped on and off. And then they come with 2 replacement filters, and those replace out right here at the base. Okay. I'll get into showing you how to clean it here in just a second. But what I'm going to do for now is show you how we power on. Okay. A lot of really cool features here. So we're going to push the on button. Okay. Red light therapy coming to you here. Okay. So it does have red light therapy option. Okay. We've got 3 different massage modes. Okay. So 1, 2, and 3. The first one is going to be continuous suction. And then the other 2, so number 2 is alternating suction. And then the third one is another alternating suction, but it's a little faster paced. So if you're wanting to just chillax, okay, and keeping some areas open, then you're going to go with more of mode 2 or mode 3. If you are wanting to do glide cupping, I'm going to give you a little insight. I have fibromyalgia. I tried this on myself earlier with glide cupping, and it is a no-go for me. It causes me a lot of pain. So I do not use these for glide cupping. I actually use these for glide cupping because I have control over how much pressure, and I don't need a bunch of bells and whistles in order to be able to do glide cupping. So I'm not going to recommend this to you for glide cupping because I don't want to give you false expectations that if you use this for glide cupping that you're going to be happy. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second, why it's really hard to glide cup with this. But nonetheless, it does mention in the manual that it is a possibility. I tried it on my coworker and it worked okay for her, but it takes a lot of energy and a lot of muscle to do it. So want to make sure that we're upfront and blunt about that from the start, so that if you're wanting to do this for cellulite cupping, specifically gliding back and forth, that you're not getting something that you're hoping for and it turns out to be something different. This one does have not only the heat, okay, so we've got 3 different intensities of heat, okay, and then we've also got 3 different intensities of vibration. Yes, so I just answered your question. 3 different modes of intensity for vibration, okay, you just push the button and each light represents a higher intensity of vibration, okay. Now, see, that's like way too big for my arm. So let's go small. Okay, there it's stuck. Okay, so it does work. Okay, and if I swing it side to side, it's not coming off. Okay, even if I go to try and pull off, right? I'll show you this here on my leg. I got my shorts on today so that you can see how this works. And I'm really throwing myself out here with some vulnerability. And because I'm telling you, friends, I got a lot of dimples in my skin. So you're going to get to see all of my cellulite today, which is just fine because I'm happy in my own skin. I don't care. I'm happy to show you that this is what I'm supposed to be showing you today. And if I didn't have the dimples in my skin, you wouldn't have a good model to work with. Now, I am going to tell you, I'm going to do this in a couple of different ways. We were practicing with this a little earlier today, okay? And so you can already see I got some dimples here. I know you don't care. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to bring you closer so you can really see this, okay? And, okay, there we go. So I'm not going to put an emollient on here, but I want you to be able to see how much this cup actually really works, okay? You can see, I'm going to bring you up close. Thank you guys so much. You're so sweet. You can see where the red light is, okay, that's where my skin is actually being suctioned into this bad boy. Can you see how much of my skin is in there? Okay, connective tissue stuck in there. Okay, so I can actually use this for scar tissue. And then to break it loose, we're just going to push the red button there and it breaks the suction right away. Okay, we're going to put in another spot, push the button, and it immediately starts suctioning. Okay, but you're going to understand why you can't glide. Like I can pull, like pulling, not going anywhere. Lots of muscle, not going anywhere. Okay. So, like, it's not coming off. You can see how much energy I'm trying, but you can see where my skin is in there, right? Yep, you can see it. Even if I twisty, not coming off. Okay. So, we're going to, you can change the settings while you've got things on here. If you decide you don't want the red light therapy, you just click it off. Okay. Now, let's show you guys what this would look like with some cream. Okay. You can use cream. Here's what you can't do. You cannot put this in water. Okay. When we disinfected this a second ago, this you can wash with soap and water. This you cannot. Just use a disinfectant wipe in order to wipe this clean, but this cannot be washed. The head unit cannot be submerged into water. So I'm going to take a little cream here. Okay. Going to put it on really good. And one area that you do not want to cup because it will really upset your body is your IT band. Don't cup your IT band. Does not feel good. Actually, it's quite painful. Okay. And so you're going to see suction going on. Things are working. And I cannot glide. Like even with emollients on, I cannot glide. Okay. So if you're wanting to buy this for gliding, not going to work very well as compared to this where I can glide back and forth. Okay. This is going to be what is called glide cupping. And you can see where the red line is coming through, and you can still see that I'm able to transition the skin and the connective tissue underneath. This, if you have really hypersensitive or autoimmune disease, don't do it. Okay. This is mode number 2, and this is more considered for relaxation mode. Okay. Mode number 3 is a pulsed. It's an intermittent suction, but it releases and then it suctions, but it doesn't release enough that you can pull this off. Okay. Check out that loose hide. Okay. And there's a lot of connective tissue underneath. Okay. So it works really well. Now, let's go to a different body area. Let's use a different emollient. Okay. So now I'm going to use the jojoba oil, and I'm going to show you here on the outside of my calf. Okay. Can barely see it. And this is the Relieva Cup regular. Okay. This is not, so there we go. Okay. So it's on, not going anywhere. Okay. And you can see here, and I can move with it on. Okay. You can see where it's pulling a little bit. I can see it from my angle. See if I can get you up close. Okay. You can see where it's pulling. You see how the skin is filling in there like a little dome? Okay. So these are, they're stuck on there really good. Okay. This has an automatic shut off at 20 minutes. You cannot change the timing on this one. It's on for 20 minutes. If you decide you want to leave this here for 5 minutes and then remove it, you can see that it's already decompressing. Okay. Push the power button again and it suctions again, one more spot down. So if you get a couple of these, then you can put them all over. So yes, you could put several up and down. We just have not received enough of them to do that, but that is another demo for the future as to how you can use them. But this is on here. It's not going anywhere. Okay. And you can see how the skin is raised up through there. Okay. And it doesn't take much to create decompression. Okay. So don't leave those on in one given spot for any more than about 5 minutes, making sure. So like I said not to do near the IT band. Yep. That is excruciating. So I'm not going there because I'm not stupid enough to do that. Don't do it where it hurts. That's the secret. Don't do it where it hurts, where it's incredibly painful. You got to be able to receive the treatment. Okay. So I can do it standing. Okay. And again, there it is standing. Okay. And you can see it is on and it is pulling. Okay, you can see really good where it's pulling there. See how you can see the glow of my skin through here, the dimples? Okay, so it does work. Okay, yeah, so now to see, you can see how I've got my fingers, my paw prints all over it from all the oil. And so this is just a disinfectant wipe. I would not recommend doing anything major while you're using it. If you want to get on your vibration platform and just stand, or if you want to drape your legs across your vibration platform and just stay in a seated position, um, I I have done that with many clients before, and it works really nice when you can blend both of the technologies together. Okay, now that is the Aliva cup. Let's see here. I'm sorry, it's the Relieva cup. I get these. Aliva is for pain relief using red light. This does have red light. So again, you can take this off. You can wipe it down, run it through some dish soap. This piece you can, and then you've got these filters that protect um, the power source beneath the surface. Okay, so that is our first. Okay, that's our first Relieva cup. So 3 different modes of red light therapy, 3 different modes of suction, 3 different levels of vibration. Red light comes through. You can choose to have red light on or off. Runs off of a lithium ion battery. Comes with 2 different attachment points. So you can choose what size cup you want. The red light ranges from 620 to 680 nanometers. $49.99 is our regular price. When they become available on September 15th, 20% off to the first 100 customers. Buy up, because I'm telling you, they will sell out. They will sell out fast. Okay. The diameter of this unit right here is 3 inches. Okay. Yes. If you don't buy them for yourself, buy them for stocking stuffers, because it's about the time to start stocking up on stocking stuffers. When it comes to the use time, 20 minutes is the default time for operation. It takes 2 hours for use time of charging. So let me rephrase that. It takes 4 hours to charge at 100%. Okay. And there's no real battery indicator that I have seen on here yet, but 4 hours is what it takes for maximal charge, but you're going to get 2 hours use out of it. And again, it has a default time of 20 minutes. So that's a lot of operation time, a lot of time for treating. You can use this between people. Just make sure, like I said, when you're using it, make sure that you are not getting this part of it wet, and that you disinfect really well in between. They have these little liners, these little hygiene liners that go in here that we provide with you extras. Okay. So you have a way of being able to switch those out in between people if you want to use it in a clinic, what have you. But definitely make sure you get a couple, because it's important to have some extras if you're using them among different people, or, so that you're not, it's disease control basically. Okay. So this is their Relieva cup. Okay. It does come with a carry pouch, so you can stick that in there, carry it on your luggage if you choose to, in your handbag. These little guys fit in there just fine. And then I'll go over all the contraindications at some point. That is a very long list, but what I want you to make sure of, if you leave these on too long, here's what I want to show you. This has actually happened to me with one of my clients. It was somebody who had a lot of toxicity, a lot of emotional trauma. I didn't know when I was working on the individual that they had a lot of emotional trauma. And emotional trauma actually comes out in your body in the form of heat. And when you have a device that provides more heat through red light therapy, it creates blisters. Okay. So if you have this happen to you, whether it is one little bitty blister, because I've had some clients that just have little bitty blisters, and I've had others who have had a lot. This is not something that happens very often. And if you are in the Eastern world, if you're in Asia, this is what they would want. But here in the Western world, it's not desirable. So if you do end up in having this happen to you, if you have autoimmune disease, if you are diabetic, if you have like fibromyalgia, if you have a lot of emotional trauma, and you haven't had a chance to work on lower levels, okay, You have to use caution and do less. So 5 minutes, if you're just getting started in some of this stuff. This individual, I had the cups on for about 15 minutes, but I've done that thousands of times and have never had a problem before. And this is a high performance individual. This is somebody who runs sprints every day. So I did not see this coming. What happens if you do? Number one is you don't want to pop the blisters, okay? Because if you pop the blisters, you're introducing an opportunity for infection. But not only that, if you pop the blisters, you're taking the protective layer off. Okay, so then you have an open wound at that point. So if you have this happen to you, just take a gauze pad or bandage with some sap and cover over the top until they dissipate. They will drain themselves. If you feel the need that you have to pop them in order to provide relief, then you go in with a disinfected needle, not in the center, but off to the edge. If you feel safe doing that to yourself or to a loved one. If you are a professional and if it is not within your scope of practice, send them to a doctor. Okay, but you don't want to pop these if you don't have to. They will deflate. They will drain themselves. They will recover really well, and this individual will be pain free. Okay, so just want to make sure you know if you do too much, that's what can happen. So don't do that. Okay. In the owner's manual, it talks about doing a skin test on the inner arm. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay. Been doing this a long time and we're updating the manual. If you do a skin test here to the inside, you're going to really upset the individual who's doing it because this is one of the most sensitive parts of the entire human body. This is a very sensitive area. Okay. So if you're wanting to do a skin test, I would highly recommend using if you're going to do to the outside of the arm, if you want to do it to your thigh, if you want to do it to your butt, more here on the hip on the back side, I would not recommend doing it here to your inner arm because there's a lot of nerves right here and the nerves are superficial. You're going to really upset and irritate those. So I don't cup very often on the inside of the arm. Okay. Rules of thumb for cupping, you don't ever cup here on the inside of the elbow. You don't ever cup behind the knee. You don't ever cup here around the neck. And I do not recommend, if you're not a professional, do not cup around the abdomen, especially right here around the chest, because if you do cup here around the chest, where the styloid process is, and you happen to break that off by accident, it's a medical emergency. So don't do that, okay? Now, if you want to cup around here in your pecs or your upper chest around the collarbone, game on. I do it every day. Pec minor right here along the crease. We do not cup the armpit. Do not cup around the belly button. And do not use this vibration or suction tool in your groin for any purpose whatsoever because it is not a sex toy, okay? I know you guys are laughing. I'm just telling you, somebody's going to be crazy enough to try it. Don't do it because LifePro is telling you not to do that. That's not what we are here for, okay? All right, I've said my piece. Now, now we're going to move on to the Relieva Cup Pro. And then, like I said, I'm not going to show you all the strategies on how to cup because that will take hours. I will be happy to come on and show you on a model in a future episode how to use these with loved ones or friends, family. I will make sure and teach you the rights and the wrong about cupping. Optimal areas, if you have pain in certain areas, these are the optimal areas to apply cupping. And we will do a demo with both of these together. Joel has been so generous to send me several more so that I can teach you how to do it with multiple cups. So if you are not sure of whether you're going to want multiples or not, go ahead and order them because if you decide not to, I guarantee you'll be able to get rid of them. Somebody's asking about abdomen for adhesions from a hysterectomy. Absolutely, you can use that. I will teach you how to do that because I started doing cupping for that purpose. You just have to be really selective as to where you put them and the amount of intensity because that's where your organs lie. So there's definitely a strategy for doing that. And if you go backwards and you don't do it right, you can actually cause some gastrointestinal dysfunction, okay? Some GI distress. Pelvic floor dysfunction is going to be better served if you are using the vibration platform. You don't want to use the cups for pelvic floor dysfunction because what's the way to getting into the pelvic floor? Through the groin, which is an orifice. So that is off limits. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Now, we're going back into the Reliva Cup, the Reliva Cup Pro. Say that 10 times in a row. So we've talked about the Reliva Cup, and now very quickly, I'm going to show you the differences. I didn't want to take any longer than an hour today of your time because you guys are always so patient with me. But again, just make sure that you're using some kind of a barrier cream or a carrier solution so that it's easier to get these on and off. Yes, so for the do's and don'ts, you actually will find that in the user manual. So I just wanted to make sure that you know the do's and the don'ts are in the owner's manual. There's a whole section here. I'm going to go here, the safety, okay? So it's going to show you all the specs and safety instructions. Do not do, not a vibration suction toy. Don't do it, okay? Warnings and cautions, lots of fine print. So cleaning and storage and troubleshooting guide. So if you are an individual who has a hard time reading small font, then let us know and we will be happy to send you a copy of the manual that you can blow up, okay? But all of the risks and do's and don'ts are right there just for your reading enjoyment. Now, here's what's really cool about the Reliva Cup Pro. I'm getting tongue-tied. We have a remote that works with the Pro Cup, okay? The other thing that's really cool is it has a disengagement lanyard. So what does that mean? It means when you're wanting to pull off the cup, you actually have this attached to a lanyard that you can wear around you or around your wrist so that you don't drop it on the ground by accident. This is much different from the other in that it is actually contoured to coordinate with the contour of the body. Not all of the other one is not made like that. It's completely flat, okay? This actually has a lip, so it's made to contour. It also comes with two different sizes, okay? This one actually screws on instead of clipping on, okay? And we have the liner there, the hygiene liner, the filter that goes in there. They're both the same diameter that screws on, two different diameters for actual treatment application, okay? And then the unit also has red light, and there's a small little clarification I need to get from LivePro. We were trying to get this figured out earlier this afternoon. It actually appears that this has blue light on it, but it doesn't mention it in the manual, but it has red light as well. So I'm going to be talking with them and making sure for error purposes, because I don't want to give you false expectations that it either does have red light or blue light. It for sure does have red light therapy, and I'm seeing that it also has blue light. I just don't know if it is the actual blue LED light type wavelength treatment type. So, because it's not listed in the manual. So, don't know if that's just a surprise bonus for us or if that's just is for having a little bit bigger party with the tool. Okay. So, with this clip, okay, in order to get it to clip on to here, we're going to push this button, which retracts back the little parts, and now it's on, okay? Not going anywhere. So it's on there. So if you have trouble with keeping a hold of this because you're slippery hands, then you have a way of being able to, keep close hand to it. This screws on, so now it's screwed on. And again, this one, okay, so this one here contours for really small areas. This one is completely flat across. So when you get to those areas, forearm, elbow, bony prominences around the leg, up across the shoulder, into the neck. When I say the neck, we're not cupping this right here, but we can cup just off to the side, okay? This will contour, creating more suction, because if you break air to any of this surface, the suction is lost, okay? That's how it works. Now, here's what's cool. We're going to turn the button on, and hang on here. There we go. Now it's working, okay? And again, you have access to turning on the mode, the intensity, and the light, okay? So there's when I'm seeing blue light, and then when we go to push, yeah, so when I go to push the red, it looks like you're getting red light, but you're getting it in the form of blue light, because if I push there's a little light button here, it actually comes through as blue. So you actually might be getting a combination of blue and red, which is actually a good thing because it means you're getting both. But it shows up as red light therapy in the manual. So yeah, so there's shows that the red light is on, but it shows out as coming blue. So I got to get some clarification on that. M, we've got 5 different modes. Okay, the 20, that is how much time is on there. So you actually have the ability to change the time on the timer. Okay, and then we also have the intensity. The intensity is right here on this little, it looks like a little zigzag. Okay, so we've got suction. So you can suction off, suction on. On the other one, you're going to push the power button on and off in order to get suction. Okay, now, and then if you want to turn it off, you just push the power off button. Now, let me get back up here into my comfy spot. And I'll show you. Oh, and you get this awesome little carry case. So you get the Pro carry case with the Pro. So there's that. So if you get it into position, let's swing around here. Get it into position, but you can't really maneuver very well because of whatever reason. I'm going to use the contouring cup here. So you can see it working with this is an area that's really bony with shin. So if you have shin splints, that's a good area. So I'm taking some cream. You got to make sure you have a barrier cream. Okay. There we go. And we're going to turn it on. And now we're creating suction. And there's your red light. Okay. So you're actually seeing the red light therapy. Okay. And so we've got multiple different modes. We've got 5 different modes. Okay. Yes, it's great for shin splints. And actually, I can use this for gliding, but I, again, have fibers, so it's very painful. So I really do not like that. That's really painful for me. So let's go over to the side and see if I can tolerate that a little better. Okay. That's definitely a little bit more tolerable until I get close to the tibial nerve. Definitely very, very uncomfortable. But it's one of those types of pain that it kind of fades away as soon as it's released. You can control the suction through the remote. It does have suction on the remote. Okay, so we have 5 different suction modes. The first, I'm looking at my board here because I got a lot of information here. The first 4 are going to be 12 minutes. The 5th is by default 18 minutes. So when you see on here the time, I made a mistake earlier in saying that you can change the time. For a preset mode, you cannot change the time of the intensity. So right now I'm in mode number 1. So we're getting this on for 12 minutes, and it's providing quick suction and quick release. So it's kind of waking up things. And this is your default mode. Okay. And again, if you don't like what you're doing, then just push the suction button and it pops right off. Okay. We can go up a little higher where I was at earlier, right above the knee. You've got patella tendonitis. You got kiddos with patella tendonitis, go for the quad. That's usually the reason why we have jumper's knee or patella tendonitis. I'm going to go mode number 2. Mode number 2 is alternating between quick and slow suction. The suction of this one is going to be much stronger than the first, but it's just going back and forth between quick and slow. Okay. And it just continues the same methodical routine back and forth, but it's never enough just to release on its own. Okay. Mode number 3, which I just turned on, is going to be a very low level of slow suction, and then it pauses and then it releases quickly. Okay. So it's more like a massage mode. Okay. So it's very low, very slow progressing, and then it slowly releases. Okay. Now, mode number 4, which I'm in right now, just push the button. We have 12 minutes by default. And again, you're seeing the red light blinking. Okay, red light blinking. So the red light therapy is on. We're getting long, slow suction followed by a series of very, very quick bursts, all at 3-second intervals. So you're going to get 1 burst, 2 burst, 3 burst at 3-second intervals. Okay. And then the suction is held for about 1.5 minutes, and then it rests, and then it'll start all over again. This is what they're going to say is going to be more of like their professional application. But again, this is in the manual. You can see kind of what you want to use it for. Whew, okay. So when it's on there, it is on there. So let's remove. Let's apply the other. And we are back to suction mode. Hands off. Everything. Just kidding. That was really funny. Let's try it again. Okay, so we've got suction going. It's because I had low suction. There we go. Now we're on there. Now we're on there. So now we're on 5. We're on mode number 5. Mode number 5 is 18 minutes in length, goes back and forth between quick and slow suction. And also, the suction is very powerful. So just make sure if you're getting started, you're going to start with level 1 or 2. Okay, 1 or 2. Time cannot be adjusted in any one of these modes. The settings can be adjusted, whether you want red light or whether you want more of the intensity a certain way. Okay, there's a lot more features with modes of application for this one. And even look here, even if I turn this off, so I've turned this off. If you don't want the motor running, I have turned this off, so the power is off and it's still on. Okay, so that's why you've got your gripper to come off. Okay, so just because you turn it off, like we did with the first one, does not mean it's going to actually come off. So make sure you're pushing the suction button in order to get it off. Okay, that is a lot of information. Okay, the charge time for the Relieva Cup Pro is 2.5 hours. Use time, you can use it for 3 to 4 hours. It is a lithium-ion battery, so your charge port is right here. Okay, when it comes to the size, it is really about the exact same size as the other. So 3.5 diameter all the way around. It's got one red LED that's 630 to 670 nanometers, just depends on the intensity that you want. And again, it shows up as blue light, but when you push that red light, it actually shows up as red. So I got to figure out if it actually has blue light as an option and we're just not listing it in the manual by chance, or if it is just an illusion and we just have red light. So this product launches on September the 15th. This one right here, the Pro, is going to sell for $89.99 when it's launched. The original sells for $49.99, and they are essentially the same size product. Both have 2 attachments, same size of attachments. It's just the features of operation that are different. So what you can do is order like 4 of the regular at $49.99 and a couple of the other ones. But if you do order, I do recommend you order them in pairs, because if you can work both sides of the body at the same time, or you can work one limb with a couple of cups on at the same time, it is going to be much more time worthy for the therapeutic outcome that you're looking for. And again, on September 15th, they're going to be 20% off for the first 100 customers. If you're not one of those lucky people who's the first 100, then you're going to want to use the Amber 10 code, AMBER10 code, in order to get your discount. So charge time for the regular is 4 hours with 2 hours of operation. For the Pro is 2.5 hours charge time for 3 to 4 hours of operation. We actually have not tested the charge time when the battery is dead, so we'll do more research on that, make sure that that is legit. But it seems like this is the shorter time with longer operation, longer charge time, shorter operation, regular Pro. Okay. If you are wondering the methodologies of cupping, go back to the very beginning and watch this all over again, because I covered everything that cupping is done for. So if you happen to join us a little bit later, you'll hear a little bit more about the methodology of cupping, where it came from, how it's used, why it matters, and how it can make you feel pain relief instantly with appropriate application of use. We will plan on, when the launch happens on September 15th, we will definitely plan on scheduling another live in which you can learn how to apply cups to your family and friends. I will have a live model on my table, and I will show you how to apply it, the strategy for applying it, and we'll talk about more of do's and don'ts so that you feel safe using our Life Pro Relieve a Cup products. All right. I want to say thank you so much for your time today. I wanted to keep this to an hour today because it's always a lot of information up front. But there's your cups up close and personal. Okay. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, I've been certified in multiple types of cupping. I have my own cupping brand, my own cupping system. I am super excited to have Life Pro joining my cupping protocols because I've been looking for these for quite some time. I actually have an original from a couple of years ago, over $250 just for one. These are $49 and $89. So cannot go wrong. Limited lifetime warranty. Do not forget to order with your limited lifetime warranty because that's one of the great things about Life Pro customer support is we are here to make sure that your product is guaranteed, whereas other competitors, customer service is crap. So we're going to take care of you. If you can't get a hold of our customer service, you can always get a hold of me and I will push it up the channel. Okay. I hope you have the most wonderful day ever and happy cupping. Have a great day.